Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into something that is literally always in the background. You probably never think about funeral cars, right? Well, until you absolutely have to. But behind the scenes of that quiet, dignified procession, there is a massive, incredibly complex, and rapidly evolving global industry. Today, we're going to unpack the whole shebang, the economics, the shifting demographics, and the absolutely wild technological upgrades that are completely changing how we say our final goodbyes. To really grasp the sheer size of this hidden giant, you just need to look at this number, $3.12 billion. That is where the global funeral car market is projected to be by the year 2034. This is absolutely not some small niche market. It's a massive economic engine, and it's fueled by heavy investments in premium vehicles, advanced tech, and global infrastructure. Okay, let's dive into this. Between 2025 and 2034, we aren't just talking about a little bump in value. We're looking at a huge leap from $1.84 billion to $3.12 billion. What we're witnessing here is a steady, incredibly powerful 6.2% compound annual growth rate. This growth is accelerating because service providers are realizing they absolutely have to invest in highly specialized, modernized fleets just to keep up with modern expectations. It's like a giant logistical puzzle, and it's fascinating. So here is our roadmap for the explainer today. We'll start by sizing up the market, uncover the global demographic drivers, look at the booming demand for luxury and EVs, pinpoint some regional hotspots, and finally, we'll wrap up by looking at the future challenges of the industry. Let's jump right in. Section 1, $1 billion goodbye. We're going to look at the sheer scale of memorial logistics here. And honestly, I want you to completely reframe how you think about this topic. Instead of viewing it as a morbid subject, try looking at it through the lens of highly specialized logistics and premium fleet management. When you look at this expanding ecosystem, funeral homes are definitely the main players, holding a massive 52.8% of the market share in 2025. They need these dedicated, ultra-reliable fleets to make sure services happen on time and with absolute dignity. And to pull this off, they rely heavily on direct sales from original equipment manufacturers, or OEMs, which account for 57.3% of how these vehicles actually get sold. It's a remarkably well-organized system of fleet modernization. All right, moving into Section 2, what drives the market? To really get this, we have to talk about demographics and infrastructure. We know the market is huge and organized, but what are the actual macroeconomic forces pushing this crazy growth rate? Which leads us straight to the big question. Why exactly is this market growing so incredibly fast right now? What is happening out there in the world to cause such a huge spike in buying these specialized vehicles? Well, the short answer is shifting demographics. The primary driver here is an aging population across North America, Europe, and the Asia-Pacific region, totally paired with the fact that global life expectancy is rising. But, it's not just about age. It's about rapid urbanization. As people flock to cities and family dynamics shift, we're seeing a massive cultural move away from those small, community-run ceremonies and toward highly professional, organized funeral infrastructures. And those pros? They need standardized, high-quality fleets to meet the demand. And that brings us to Section 3, luxury meets final rides. Because when families hire these professional services today, they aren't just looking for a standard ride to the cemetery. They're demanding luxury. Literally, luxury hearses are dominating this space, holding a 41.7% share in 2025. Families want a highly personalized, premium memorial experience, so funeral homes are stepping up. They're investing in vehicles with extended wheelbases, super comfortable seating for the family, advanced climate control, pristine paint jobs, and even customized ceremonial lighting. It is all about delivering that flawless, white glove experience for a final farewell. But beyond the luxury, there is a totally different shift happening. Let's look at Section 4, the rise of electric hearses. The whole global electric vehicle revolution? Yeah, it's making its way straight into funeral processions, which is unexpectedly reshaping everything. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that while traditional internal combustion engine vehicles, your standard gas engines, still hold the majority at 69.4% in 2025, largely because the infrastructure is already there and they're cheaper up front, the combined hybrid and electric segment is the absolute fastest growing part of the whole market. When you compare them side by side, the operational difference is night and day.
Traditional hearses bring higher maintenance, emissions, and, engine noise. But a modern electric hearse, it operates in absolute total silence. And honestly, isn't silence the ultimate prerequisite for a solemn procession? Factor in the lower long-term operating costs and the eco-friendly vibe that modern consumers are definitely looking for, and it's super clear exactly why electric models are taking off.
Okay, let's zoom out a bit for Section 5, Global Demand and Hotspots. We need to see exactly where this market is shifting on a regional level and check out the geographical battles for market share. And this brilliantly illustrates the global divide. North America is the reigning heavyweight right now, holding a 36.8% share in 2025, mostly driven by those highly organized service chains and early EV adoption. Europe is right behind at 28.4%, though they're being pushed heavily by strict emissions laws forcing a faster green transition. But get this. Look at the Asia-Pacific region, a staggering 7.8% compound annual growth rate. Because of their rapid urbanization, the demand for professional memorial fleets over there is just skyrocketing. To break down those regional anchors real quick, the US alone is valued at $462 million in 2025. Over in Europe, Germany is totally leading the pack, teaming up with luxury car makers to integrate EVs. Meanwhile, China is the undisputed engine of that massive Asia-Pacific growth, thanks to its rapid urban development. And we definitely can't ignore emerging hotspots like Brazil and the UAE, where there's a really strong push to modernize premium fleets just to keep up with high-end consumer expectations. Finally, let's turn to Section 6, Future of Funeral Cars. We're going to look at the hurdles ahead and the innovators trying to clear them. Because, yeah, the growth is amazing, but this industry is certainly not without its challenges. Building a funeral car is incredibly difficult. You can't just roll one of these off a normal assembly line. They require absolutely extensive, super costly structural chassis modifications. And because production volumes are so low, specialized replacement parts are outrageously expensive. On top of that, for the booming EV segment, a lack of charging infrastructure is a massive roadblock. It's basically keeping smaller, rural operators completely reliant on standard traditional gas vehicles. So, how are the big players handling this? Well, they're innovating fast. Companies like Coleman Mile are heavily expanding their EV lineups with much better battery ranges to kill that charging anxiety. Innovators like Benz International and K2 Vehicles are pioneering lightweight construction materials to offset the weight of those crazy structural modifications. Plus, we're seeing major luxury automotive OEMs partnering directly with custom modification shops to streamline the whole production process and bring those sky-high entry costs down. It's wild, right? This hidden billion-dollar giant is basically a perfect mirror reflecting our broader global trends: aging populations, the demand for luxury, and the huge green energy transition. It leaves us with a pretty fascinating final thought. How will the global shift toward green energy and ultra-customization continue to reshape our oldest human rituals? It is honestly incredible to see how innovation reaches into literally every corner of our lives, right up to the very end. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep asking the big questions.